Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.
Shalom, 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 Mashiach Yahusha, grafted in Gentiles into the body of Mashiach, be it known unto you this day. I got some truth. I got some Ruach HaKodesh truth that I have to get out. I can't let a day pass. I got to get it out. You got to preach this Besorah, this Torah of righteousness and truth. Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, I give you praise. I praise you for Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, the Besorah, the Torah made flesh. For without him, the means to the end would never be established. Us as kings and priests in his kingdom on the earth. Yahuah, I give you praise. I praise you, Yahuah, for the witness in the Shamayim, you Abba, the word Yahusha, and the Ruach HaKodesh, and I give you praise for the witness in the Eretz, the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. Yahuah, I give you praise, for without these there is no oneness, and I praise you for the participation. I thank you for allowing me to receive and to participate. Yahuah, I give you praise, for I received the word that you gave Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, and I have kept it. Yahuah, and I walk in it. I pray right now in the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach that you would take the reins of my lips and my tongue and reign. Have the dominion, the preeminence. Yahuah, may I not cause anyone to stumble, have anyone turned out of the way, cause anyone to come up lame. Yahuah, I desire the Ruach of truth to speak through me. I yield myself as instrument of righteousness to be used, to be availed of by you. Yahuah, I give you the praise, I give you the glory, the honor. Yahuah, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in the sight, Yahuah, my strength and my redeemer. I give you praise, I give you praise, I give you praise. Yahuah, I give you praise. We're listening to none other than Pastor John J. Tatum. You know the song, I Got Some Truth. Off of his CD, I got some truth, and I don't own the rights to this music, but listen, I got some truth. Listen, this is my new theme. Listen, I got some absolute truth. Listen, I have the Ruach HaKodesh, therefore I have the love of Yahuah on the inside of me, and I can speak the absolute truth in love. Yes, I can, because I've received this Ruach HaKodesh, and I praise Yahuah for his Ruach HaKodesh. I praise him for the privilege of being a part of the beloved. Listen, I give him praise for the gift that he's given me, how he has established me as a son in the earth. Listen, I'm a son of Elohiym. Look, I'm a part of his kingdom. Listen, this is a sanctification. This is a righteousness thing. Listen, I got to tell you this truth. I got to get this truth to you. I got to make this truth available to you. I listen. I got some truth. None other than Pastor John J. Tatum off of his CD. I got some truth. I got to get it out. I don't own the rights to this music. Listen. We going in, right? As you know, Yahuah has called me to wake up Yaakov, to wake up Yasharah and Yahudah, right? Especially Yahudah, who is scattered through the four corners of the earth. Listen, to wake you up. Yeah, you Hebrew, but to wake you up to Hamashiach, right? To the witness, because you got to have the witness of Hamashiach. Listen, without the witness of Hamashiach, it's vanity. Yeah. Without the witness of Yahusha Hamashiach, it's vanity. Listen, you gonna come up on the wrong side. You gonna come up on the wrong end. Listen, you have to have the witness of Yahusha Hamashiach, his baptism, his blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh, because that's the end game. That's the end game. That's the reason for it all. Listen, that's the reason why he's established a people, so that he can establish a kingdom who will be run by people who have his spirit, sons and daughters, Ruach people, who have his Ruach HaKodesh, his spirit, who can do the things that he needs to have done in his kingdom. Listen, it's not about you, it's about him. And listen, he has made it absolutely possible for you to fulfill his purpose, his plan in the Eretz by receiving his Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, it's about the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen, it's about Yahusha. Oh, yeah. It's about Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, because you have to come this way. But you have to receive the Ruach HaKodesh, because that's what establishes you in the beloved. That's what establishes you in the kingdom. That's what establishes you in Yahuah. That's what does everything on the inside of you. That's what Adam and Havah had and lost. You look, the end game is the restoration of it all through the Ruach HaKodesh in you. We have the earnestness, right? What we have in us will be full in manifestation upon his return. But this is the seed. This is what he's put in us. This is that which he's given us, so that we can endure to the end, so that we can live sin-free, that we can walk in the renewedness of this covenant, that we can experience all that which he has, that we can no longer be under a curse. Listen, Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, right? Not that the law was a curse, but because of sin. Sin is a transgression of the law. Christ has redeemed us from sin, right? Which is a transgression of the law. We now have been redeemed by not by corruptible things like silver and gold. He didn't purchase our Yeshua laying all the gold and the silver and the diamonds and the jewels. He didn't do all of that. He did it with his own blood. The most precious of all precious of anything has he redeemed us. And because he has now, we are sons of Elohiym. Listen, beloved, it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But when he shall appear, we shall be like him. We shall know him. We'll be like him, because we shall see him, as he is. Yahuah. Yahusha. Listen. We have to understand that this is who we are. We are Yahuah's. We are not our own, right? We are not our own. He purchased us. He redeemed our forefathers from the land of Mitzrayim at a cost, at a price, right? He redeemed us and renewed a covenant with us with a price. And that price was an endgame. That was the price. That was it. That's the nation. That's the restoration. Yahusha Ha'Mashiach is the restoration. It's not just that you Hebrews. It's that you've been restored and you've received the witness in the earth. Yahuwah's witness. Yahuah testified to him. Yahuah said, listen, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased, right? On the mountain of Transfigure before Yehukanan and Peter and the other apostles that was present at the time, Peter was like, oh, let's build 3 temples. Let's build 3 tabernacles. You said no. The Yahuah said no. Listen, this is my beloved son. Hear him. Hear him. I'm witnessing to his Yeshua. Yeshua is in him. Right? It's in him. Ain't no salvation in just being Hebrew. There's no salvation in being Hebrew alone. If you're banking on that, you're missing it. Your salvation is in Hamashiach. Your identity is Hebrew. Your history is Hebrew. Your history is the original covenant and the new covenant. It's your history. It's all designed to point you to Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, which is the restorer of the covenant. It's designed to establish you in the kingdom. It's designed to set you apart, to sanctify you. It's designed to put you to the place where you need to be positionally. In Yahusha Ha'Mashiach with the Ruach HaKodesh. Apart from that, man, listen. You ain't got no hope. Listen, if all we have to see in this world is what we understand, then we are of most men miserable. Listen, if all we have is that we Hebrews, listen, we still miserable. Because at the end of the day, we were Hebrews before we knew we were Hebrews. Listen, we were Hebrews before we knew we was Hebrews. And you know what? We were still dying. We were still not keeping the Torah. We were still not walking in the truth. It's not until you understand the need to receive the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach that your course changes, that your trajectory changes, right? You are now set up and positioned to be a pillar in the kingdom of Yahuah. Listen, you are now set up to be a pillar in the kingdom of Yahuah. You have a right to the tree because you are his. Listen. Not because you are Hebrew alone. Listen, Hebrews have been dying miserably. In the Americas for 400 years, miserably. Dying because we were Hebrews and it didn't matter that we knew or not. Because it didn't change a thing. Because what's going to change it is faith in Hamashiach. It's Hamashiach, yes. Yes, we have a history that's founded on apostles and prophets. We have people in our lineage like Shimshon and Dawid and Shlomo and Gideon and Judas Maccabees and his brothers, you know. We have Esther, we have women of Yahuah. Listen, but salvation is in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. It's not being in Hebrew. Listen, yes, being Hebrew is of value because Yahuah gave us the Torah. He established with us the framework and the understanding of how the kingdom is going to be established. It's going to be a righteous kingdom with righteous laws and righteous feasts and righteous observances. And the people that are going to be running these things in this kingdom are going to be with the Ruach HaKodesh this time. Yahuah put his Ruach in Dawid, but you're going to have the whole nation of people that have the Yahuah's Ruach HaKodesh moving and operating and functioning in capacities in the kingdom. Listen, Yahuah has a plan, an established plan from the foundations of the earth in which Yahusha was privy to. Him and the Ruach HaKodesh. They're the witnesses in the Shamayim. Listen, they was there before anything was. Listen, we going into Colossians, right? We're going into Colossians. We're going to look at Paul's letter to the church at Qolosse, right? And a lot of Paul's letters are the same in purpose and intent, right? Some of them are phrased and worded differently, but they're the same. The message is still the same, right? Faith in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, redemption through his blood, right? It's the same. Listen, in Hebrew, you have to understand, you got to grasp this message. You got to grasp the entire witness. You got to receive the witness. You know, there is no other name. Yahuah has declared that as his witness. There is no other method. There is no other way. Yahuah never said, this is the Torah, in whom I am well pleased. Right? He never said that. Right? His Torah is his word, and his word is true. But he endorsed his son. Right? The word, the Torah made flesh. Listen, let's go in. Colossians, the first chapter, the first verse. He says, Shaul, or Paul, an apostle of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, by the will of Elohiym, right? Because it was Yahuwah's will that Apostle Paul was to be a witness to the Gentiles, right? And Paul wrote to Bruce. He wrote to the churches, and he wrote to the synagogues. He wrote to the people that were in the territories. He preached in these cities where there were known Yahudim, right? But he also reached the Gentiles, right? The Gentiles. So Yahuah had already established his ministry. Yahusha, when he told Paul, said, listen, knocked him off his horse. Why you persecuting me? It's hard for you to kick against the prick. Paul, I got some things that you got to suffer for my name's sake. Paul, you've been persecuting my people. You've been persecuting the brethren. You know, and I need you to reach out. I need you to be a word. I need you to bring a Besorah, a Torah, right? And I need you to go into Damascus, and there's going to be somebody that's going to knock them scales off your eyes, and he going to baptize you and going to lay hands on you, and you're going to receive the Ruach HaKodesh, and you're going to go straight way and preach. Because that's what Paul did. He did exactly what Yahusha Ha'Mashiach told him to do. He preached the Besorah. He preached the Besorah. And it was his will, Yahuwah's will, that he do it. Was Yahuwah's will. Because if Yahuwah didn't want to use Paul, he would have never confronted him. Yahushua would have never confronted him on the road to Damascus. Yahushua would have never said unto him, Paul, knocked him off his horse. He would have let Paul run rampant. Persecuting the Yahudim. Run rampant. Because he was only snatching out Hebrews, right? Carrying letters by the Pharisees, right? Right? He operating as a Pharisee. Right? A religious seat. Paul wasn't Levitical. He was Benjamin. Listen, he had zeal. He had knowledge, right? He counted it all as dung, that he might gain Yahusha Mashiach. Paul went straight forward and preached this Besorah. Paul says, by the will of Elohiym, and Timothy is our brother. So it's Paul and Timothy together. And Paul's responding in his letter and acknowledging that him and Timothy are together, right? He says to the saints. So this letter's not to everybody. It's to the called. It's to the chosen. Just like this word that I'm preaching to you is not to everybody. It's to the called, to the chosen, right? Right? It's not to everybody, right? It's not, right? Because everybody is not going to obey this Besorah. Everybody's not going to receive this Torah of truth, right? But Yahuwah still going to have me teach it. He's going to still have me preach it, right? Because the Ruach HaKodesh in me convicts of sin. So this Besorah has to go out because it has to convict of sin. It has to convict of righteousness because the righteousness is in the truth of Torah. And this word has to judge. So, you know, when you decide that, oh, man, this man is crazy, I don't want nothing to do with it. Okay, yeah, okay, it's okay. You judged. That's just what happens. Woo, listen. I have the Ruach HaKodesh. I'm a man of Yahuah. I deliver you the Besorah of truth by the Ruach HaKodesh. I don't put this together. I don't put this on for anybody. I do this as the Ruach leads. And as long as he takes the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign through me by the Ruach HaKodesh, I'm going to continue to bring the Besorah of truth. Right? I got to do this straight way. I got to get up and do this. Listen, I got to do this. I'm a saint. I'm a set apart man of Yahuah. Right? I'm a set apart man of Yahuah. I am holy. I am Kodesh. Listen, I am holy. I am Kodesh. I am sanctified by his Ruach HaKodesh. I have to preach this Besorah. I have to teach this. I have to. Listen, I have to. I have to do this. This is not something that I can pass on. He said to the saints and the faithful, brother. And this Besorah is to the faithful. For the faithful. Listen. He said to the saints, to the Kodesh, to those that are chosen, those who are holy, those who are faithful. Right? Those who are faithful, those who are trustworthy. Right? This word in the Greek is pisto.
Strong's G, 4103.
Or pisto.
Pistos.
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 It's pistos. It means trusty, faithful, a person who shows themselves faithful in the transaction of business. Listen, I am pisto. I am faithful in the work that Yahuah has called me to do. He has called me to preach this Besorah. The words that Yahuah gave to him, he has given me, and I have kept them. And of a surety, I am going to give them to you, because this is what he has instructed. Listen. He says, to the faithful brethren in Hamashiach, right? Those who have received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Listen, these are to those who have received the witness, the Besorah of truth. And listen, my prayer is that this Besorah be not hid to Israel, to the nation, right? This word that I speak, that it be not hid. Yahuah, I pray that this word gets out to the four corners of the earth. I pray that this word gets shared. This word gets carried. This word gets delivered to those who have an ear to hear. Because this is what it's all about. You need to know that you need to receive the Ruach HaKodesh. You need to know that you need to receive the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. You have to, in order to make it into his kingdom. He said, listen, he says, to the qodeshiym, to the saints, right, to the Kodesh, to the set apart, to those who are sanctified. Those who are sanctified by the Besorah of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, right? Those which are at Qolosse, or to those who are under the sound of my voice, wherever you are, right? Grace unto you and shalom, right? From Yahuah, our Abba, and from the Adonai Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, right? We give thanks unto Yahuah for Yahuah and the Abba of our Adonai Yahusha, praying always for you. Listen, I pray for the nation. I pray for the nation. I pray that they would be quickened to the witness. I pray that they would be quickened to the Ruach HaKodesh. I pray that they would be quickened, made alive, not just woke, not just awake to who you are, but quickened to whose you are in the Ruach HaKodesh, and in that receiving the seed of Yahuah, Yahusha on the inside of you, becoming sons of Elohiym. Not just the tribe of Yehudah, not just of the nation of Yasharah, but having received the witness and having been quickened and made alive. See, the Ruach quickens you, makes you alive. You have he quickened who were dead in your trespasses and sins. Bruise. Without the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, you still dead in your trespasses and sins. You are still under the law. You are still under the curse. In Hamashiach, you have been made free from the curse. You are now sons and daughters of Elohiym, but outside of the witness of Yahusha, his baptism, his blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh, listen, you are without hope in the world. You are under the law. The curse of the law. Because Hamashiach makes you free. Free to walk in obedience to the Torah and keep the Torah. You and Yahusha in you. The Ruach of truth. The Besorah, the Torah of truth made flesh in you. The witness. He says, listen, I pray for you always. Yasharal and Yehudah, I pray for you always, right? I pray for those that are under the Besorah of truth. The Besorah of truth is the tribe that I have, and those that are in that tribe understand the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh. And I pray for them. They understand that, listen, you have to have the Ruach HaKodesh. Because the Ruach HaKodesh is the revelation of the truth. Oh yeah, they understand it. I pray for them. That Yahuah will use them and take them and minister through them. Yeah. By the Ruach HaKodesh. Trusting in the Ruach HaKodesh of truth to minister the Besorah of truth. Because this is what this is about. This is this walk. Yeah. This is this tribe. This is this tribe. This Besorah of truth tribe. This is the Ruach HaKodesh tribe. Right. The Ruach HaKodesh, Yahusha and Yahuah in us. Yeah. That's the tribe. Yeah, that's the tribe that's gonna go forth with signs following. Yeah. Oh. I pray for you always. I pray for other assemblies in Yahuah and Yahusha. I pray for the gathering of Yahuwah's people. I pray for the gathering of the 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 people. He says, since we've heard of your Emunah in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, we heard of it. Paul's writing to a people that he heard of their love. He has heard of your Emunah in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, right? And the love of all the saints, the set apart qodeshiym, right? For the hope which is laid up for you in the Shamayim, right? Now listen, right? The hope that is laid up them in the Shamayim is not them going to heaven, right? That's not the hope. The hope is that in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, in the Shamayim, when the time comes to restore, or the time comes to establish his kingdom, that hope that is with him in the Shamayim will be made manifested with us in the Eretz. His kingdom come. Listen, that's why you gotta have the Ruach HaKodesh, because you're gonna still think that you waiting for this place in the heavens. The hope is in the Shamayim because that's where Yahusha is. That's where Yahuah is. That's where the New Jerusalem is. That's where the temple is. But that's coming to the Eretz. When Yahusha comes to the Eretz, when we're changed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, when we come to serve in his kingdom, that's the hope that's in the Shamayim. It ain't the hope of going to heaven. Oh, yeah, we going to heaven. We going in the sweet by and by. When we get to heaven, shores. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. No. That's that Christian non-Ruach way of thinking. That's just not it. That's not it. That is not it. Yahuah is establishing his kingdom on the Eretz, and in his kingdom on the Eretz, his Ruach-filled, anointed men and women of Yahuah will serve him, right? But the hope is in the Shamayim right now. It's laid up, right? Because we have this earnest expectation. And it's until the purchased possession, to the manifestation in which Yahuah brings us together to establish his kingdom in the earth. Right now, it's in the Shamayim where Yahuah is, where Yahusha is. See, but we have this treasure. We have the seed on the inside of us. We have the witness. We have been sanctified through Yahusha Mashiach, through the blood, the water, and the Ruach HaKodesh, because these three agree and are one. Can't get around it. You can't get around it. He says here, for the hope which is laid up for you in the Shamayim, whereof ye heard before in the word of the truth of the Besorah. Yes, this treasure. Yeah, this treasure we have in earthen vessels. Right? But the manifestation of the fullness of it is yet in the Shamayim until Yahusha comes back to establish his kingdom in the earth. This is the message of the Besorah. This whereof ye heard before in the word of the truth, the Besorah of truth of the Besorah, the word of truth of the Besorah. Listen, Yahusha's message is thy kingdom come. Listen, he told the disciples when you pray, the disciples says, listen, Yahushua teach us to pray like Yahuwah taught his disciples to pray. Yahushua said, okay, well, when you pray, our Abba, which art in the Shamayim, hallowed be thy name. You're worthy of praise, you're worthy of glory, you're worthy of honor. Be thy name, thy kingdom come. Right? The kingdom come to the Eretz. Thy will be done. Right? On the Eretz as it is in the Shamayim. What? We're praying for Yahuwah's kingdom to come in the Eretz as it is in the Shamayim. Right? Now, how is the kingdom established in the Eretz right now? It's in us. We have this treasure in earthen vessels. The kingdom is within us because Yahuah and Yahusha lives in us. The seed of righteousness is in us. The Besorah, the Torah of truth is in us. This righteous kingdom, this seed, this earnest, this down payment that is in us convicts the world of sin. It convicts the world of righteousness. It judges the world. Why? Because Yahuah is establishing his kingdom in those who he has put his Ruach HaKodesh in. Thy kingdom come. That's the message from the beginning. Listen, that's the message. It's not just the being of Hebrews. It's the establishing of his kingdom. He is establishing his kingdom in the earth. And you know what, right? Hasatan don't know how it's going to happen. He don't know. He knows it's inevitable. He don't know the time. He don't know anything. Because Yahusha don't. Only the Father knows. He don't know. So what he does is he plants seeds in the world. Right? Give you all kinds of things. Get you thinking all kinds of strange doctrines. Right? He used this television and this Hollywood witchcraft kind of stuff, right? To get you to think and believe a certain thing. Oh, yeah. You show something enough on TV enough, you're going to believe it, right? Right? You know, he got you set up for a zombie apocalypse, right? He got you set up for an asteroid blasting into the earth and destroying everything and a couple of people escaping in a pod. Listen, do you see that new movie? It's called Don't Look Up. Listen, I watch things only because Hasatan he's trying everything, right? Oh yeah. So he got you believing that there's a meteorite that's gonna come and destroy the earth, right? Right? A meteorite come in, boom, just destroy the earth. Yahuah never said he's gonna destroy the earth by a meteorite, right? But see, they don't know how to divide the truth. They don't understand how to rightly divide this truth. They don't, because they don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach HaKodesh, listen, that's why he's pouring out his spirit in us first. Yasharal and Yehuda. That's why we have to receive the Ruach HaKodesh and we have to quicken this word. We got to send this quickened Ruach HaKodesh word into the nation so that the nation understands it. Listen, it's through Hamashiach, right? Because if it's left up to Hasatan, he got all kinds of things popping off. He got a zombie apocalypse. He got the destruction of the earth. Yeah, we know that there's things that are going to happen, right? Ruachly by the Ruach HaKodesh. But listen, Yahuah has a prepared place for his people. He has a prepared place for his people. Yahuah ain't going to blow the whole world up with no meteorite. Come on, all of these things are demonic ploys and distractions. Demonic ploys and distractions, right? Yeah, you got 5G. You got DNA issues. You got RNA vaccines. You got all this, and don't nobody know except Yahuah and Yahusha. And Yahusha only knows what Yahuah reveals to him. The Endgame is the Ruach HaKodesh. You just need to know that you have the Ruach HaKodesh. Because the Ruach HaKodesh is going to lead you and guide you into all truth. And without the Ruach HaKodesh, you're going to be stuck. Calling on Yahuah. And he going to be saying, I told you it's in my son. I told you it's in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. I told you it's in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. Right? Yeah, that man that I had that preached that you need to have the Ruach HaKodesh. You didn't want to listen to him. Yeah, I told you. Listen, he told you. I spoke word to him. I spoke words to you by the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay. He said, which is to come unto you as in all the world, right? The Besorah of truth. It's going everywhere. The Besorah of truth, not this Christian thing. That's not it. Christianity ain't the Besorah of truth. In order for Christianity to be the Besorah of truth, it has to be established on the truth of the Torah. And it ain't established on the truth of the Torah. In order for Christianity to be Ruach, have the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, it has to keep Torah. You don't even honor him with the Shabbat. You don't keep Torah. You don't honor him with you eat all this unclean stuff, and that's just basic. That's just law stuff. That comes through faith in Hamashiach and obedience to keeping the Torah. If you don't keep the Torah through faith in Hamashiach, listen. He says, you keep my commandments because I kept the Father's commandments. Yahushua kept the Father's commandments. Yahushua didn't walk around eating pork. Yahushua didn't walk around breaking the Torah. He didn't break the Shabbat. He was on the Shabbat. He was at the Shabbat. He was in the temple every Shabbat. Yahushua, he kept the Shabbat. He didn't walk in no synagogue on no Sunday. Listen, that's why Christianity is wrong. Now listen, the Besorah, the Torah, the original covenant and the renewed covenant. Oh, that's truth. Oh yeah, that's truth. But listen. Even with that, listen. I want to show you something, right? Let's do this. There's a reason why they took out certain books, right? And this is to validate why you have to understand that even in the rule with Christianity and not having its foundation in the Ruach HaKodesh of truth and walking in obedience, why it's so easy to error, right? Let's look at this. This is Ecclesiasticus, right? Ecclesiasticus, the first chapter. Now, understand Ecclesiasticus is one of those books that the Roman Catholic Church decided to excommunicato from the canon. They decided to take it out. They decided to take it out because it was too much pertinent information. It's pertinent information. It is. Listen, this is our history. This is our information. But, they take certain things out because, it really casts shade on their deception, right? So listen, here we go. Let's start at this first chapter of Ecclesiasticus 1, right? He says, the prologue of the wisdom of Yahusha, the son of Sarach, right? It's not Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, right? Because, Yahusha was a common name. It was not an uncommon name, right? We think, Jesus. No, Yahusha was not necessarily a common name. It wasn't an uncommon name. Yahusha is Yah salvation, right? Yahshua is Yahusha in Hebrew. So anyway, he says, whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the Torah, right, and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps, for the which things Yasharah ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, and whereof not only the reader must need become skillful themselves, but also they that desire to learn. be able to profit them which are without. So listen. He is saying, listen, we as the nation of Israel have a rich heritage of prophets and writers and record that is profitable for wisdom and understanding, because that's what it was for us. It is the Torah. It is the teaching. Torah is not just the 4 or 5 books of Moses. It is the entire teaching. So when you hear me say Besorah and Torah, I'm talking about the teachings of Yahuah. I'm talking about the teachings of Yahusha, right? Because they're one and the same, right? So he says, listen, because Yahusha says, I only say what my father say, which is the Torah, which is his Besorah. He says, and whereof not only the reader must need become skillful, right? Because the word of Yahuah makes one wise. How can a young man cleanse his ways? By taking heed to the words of Yahuah, the Torah, right? He says, listen, but also that desire to learn be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking and writing. So you should be able to speak and write the Besorah and the Torah of truth. You should be able to learn from it, right? He says, my grandfather Yahusha, when he had much given himself to the reading of the Torah and the prophets, right? And other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment, right, was drawn also himself to write something pertaining to the learning of wisdom. So as he was growing in this understanding of the Besorah, he felt it was necessary to go ahead and create tools of learning to assist in the understanding of the Besorah, right? Of the Torah, right? To draw on also himself some writings pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn, right, and are addicted to these things, who love the Besorah and the Torah, that are going to spend their waking hours pursuing this truth, right, might profit much more in living according to the Torah. So in the process of this growth and this learning, you may learn to better understand and live in the Torah, right? He says, wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words, right? Because what he was doing was taking this and translating it, right? He says, listen, right? He says, favor and attention and pardon wherein we may seem to come short in some words, which we have labored to interpret, right? He says, for the same things uttered in Hebrew, right? And translated into another language, right, have not the same force in them. So you listen, right? This is my point. When the Europeans translated the Hebrew scripts, right, they didn't have the same force. Right? They chose things that made sense to them, right? Didn't have the same force, right? And then they did not translate according to the Ruach HaKodesh, because the Ruach HaKodesh is the Ruach HaKodesh of truth. And if you're worshiping on the Shabbat on a Sunday, then you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh, because you're in violation of Yahuwah's Torah, Yahusha's Torah. If you eat swine's flesh, then you're in violation of the Torah, and you don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? So there are limitations to your ability to translate it. But here's the kicker, right? This is what you have to understand. For us who receive the Ruach HaKodesh, the Besorah of truth, in any language, is revealed. Because we have the Ruach HaKodesh. He is going to reveal all truth. It doesn't matter if they translated it and it was lost. Some of the strength of a text is lost. The Ruach HaKodesh is going to reveal to you exactly what that text is, because that's what the Ruach HaKodesh does. That's why you have to receive Yahusha Ha'Mashiach's witness. Now, this is what he says. He says, for the same things which are uttered in Hebrew and translated into another language have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the Torah itself and the prophets and the rest of the book have no small difference. So, when they translated the text, right, the Hebrew text, the text that Yahusha read from, the text that was in his day, and when Titus Vespasian, right, laid siege to Jerusalem, and they took all of the scripts and all of the Torah, right, they translated it into Greek, and then Latinus. And it lost its strength and its force. And this was spoken even before they did it. They knew they had to get that out of there. They had to get that out of there. They didn't want you to know this. He says, for the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated in another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their language. Listen. Hebrew is important to us because it is our language, right? But not knowing Hebrew, it's not going to be a limitation. Because in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, you have his Ruach HaKodesh, right? And his Ruach HaKodesh is what's going to lead you and guide you into all truth. Yahusha said, listen, you have to wait for the promise of the Father, because he's going to reveal all truth to you. Listen, you can know all the Hebrew and have it translated correctly, but without Yahusha Ha'Mashiach's witness, you are not going to make it. He says, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the book have no small difference when they are spoken in their language. For as is 8th and 30th in this 8th and 38th year, of Egypt, right? And Eurydice was king and continues, and sometimes I found a book of no small learning. Therefore, I thought it mostly necessary for me to bestow some diligence and travail and interpret it. The reason why I brought that up is because you have to have the Ruach HaKodesh truth. You have to have the Ruach HaKodesh truth. Christianity is deception. It doesn't matter that it's the universal religion. Right? It doesn't matter that it's in the bed with Islam and Judaism. Right? Because we ain't Judaism. We Hebrews. We serve an Elohiym. We are not those in Revelations 3 and 9 who say they are Yahudim and are not. We don't identify with that nation because that is not who we are. We are the people of Yahuah who has received the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. We are the called, the set apart, the chosen, those that have been called from among them that do not serve him. We are the Torah of righteousness in the Ruach HaKodesh. We reveal sin. We reveal righteousness. We reveal truth. Judgment. It's not Christianity. It's not that. The Ruach HaKodesh is not that. Get that out of your head. It's not that. Especially us who have come from that. This is not what this is. Listen. Everything that is done in that name is wickedness. Everything. It's wickedness. It's wickedness. He says, listen. I spent my entire adulthood walking in the Ruach HaKodesh, not understanding why I felt like a fish out of water. From denomination to denomination. Always preaching from the Besorah and the Torah of truth. Always declaring what was in that book. I could care less about a denomination. Years. As a child. Sitting in Sunday school class. Sunday school teacher says to me, says something. I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is what the Bible says. This is what we should do. And having her say to me, you thinking too high. You need to come down on the way you think. I'm like, no, I think we should come up to what this says. Listen. Been on the usher board, sung in the choir, been a youth pastor, been an assistant pastor. Got tired of it because it made no sense. I get up and preach from the word of Yahuah, from a text, scriptures, dead. People go out and come back and do the same thing they were doing before. This ain't right. This can't be right. Walked away from it. Last church I walked away from was the AME Methodist. Walked away from it. Yeah. I was going to be an assistant pastor. Wanted to get my letter in the AME church. You know, went to the little class, went to the little interview. Pastor told me, said, you know what, they approved you. So I said, you know what, I don't think I'm going to do it. She said, no? I said, no, I don't think I'm going to do it. Because these people asked me would I adhere to the doctrine of the AME church. I told them, I said, the doctrine of the AME church, I'll adhere to the word of Yahuah. The word, the Bible, the Torah, the script. Doctrine of the AME church. Listen, the doctrine is the word. I remember I had a woman and two men on this panel. Last thing they said, will you adhere to the doctrine of the AME church? I said, doctrine? No, that was it. I was done. It was time. I said, I'm not doctrine. No. Right? Because it was never in me. Because Yahuah had sanctified me as a young man. He set me apart. He put the Ruach HaKodesh in me. I had evidence of speaking in tongues. I laid hands on the sick. I had miracles following me. I knew. I had the Ruach HaKodesh. Listen. It wasn't Christianity. It wasn't a church. Folk don't operate in the Ruach HaKodesh. They don't even know what the Ruach HaKodesh is. They're not in a place to operate in the Ruach HaKodesh because they're not in a place of obedience. The foundation is messed up. Yahuah's not in that. And the only way you're going to know that is if you have the Ruach HaKodesh. You have the witness of Yahusha, blood, the witness of the water, and the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh. See, and that's why, even though they translated it and gave it to us, and we had to work our way through it, listen, with the Ruach HaKodesh, that word still quickened me. I still put 355 cards all over my room. I still quoted them scriptures and them words. I quoted the Torah. I just quoted it. I didn't matter if it was the original covenant or the renewed covenant. I put them up. And I quoted them. I spoke them. I did this well into my 30s. The word, the Besorah, the Torah. Don't matter. Listen, yeah, they wanted you to be tricked. But now you know. Cat's out of the bag. You know your Hebrew. Cat's out of the bag. Now what you gonna do? Are you gonna receive the witness of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach? Are you gonna die in your sins? Are you gonna be freed from the curse through Yahusha Ha'Mashiach? Or are you gonna die under the curse of the law? Let's go. That's why I made that detour. Okay, so he says, which is to come unto you as in all the world and bringing forth fruit, right? The Besorah, the Besorah of truth. It's going to come, right? To all the world. Not that not that Christianity thing. Because they believe in Jesus. They believe in the Lord. Not that. That's not what I'm talking about. Not that. Not that thing right there. Not that there. Talking about Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. The Besorah of truth. Right? Right? The Hebrew. Yahusha. The melanated brother. The Hebrew. He says, since the day you heard of it and knew the grace of Elohiym in the truth. So you knew the grace of Yahuah, Elohiym in the truth. He said, listen. He says, as ye also learned of Epaphras, our dear fellow servant, who is for you a faithful minister unto Hamashiach. Listen, so Paul's writing a letter to the church of Qolosse, and he's referencing Epaphras, right? He says, who also declared unto us your love in Yahushua Mashiach. So the Apostle Paul is writing a letter to the church of Qolosse, right? And he's writing in response to some information that he's received in reference to what's going on there in Qolosse amongst the Gentiles, right? Right? And how they move in the Ruach HaKodesh. He says, who also declared unto us your love in the Ruach HaKodesh. Right? He's declaring your love in the Ruach HaKodesh. He said, listen, for this cause also, since the day we heard, do not cease to pray for you, right? And desiring that ye might be filled. With the Ruach HaKodesh of knowledge. Of his will. The Ruach of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of him. He said it differently in Ephesians, but it's the same thing. Said the same thing in Ephesians. Right? Said the same thing in Ephesians. Let's go Ephesians. He says here that ye might be filled with the knowledge, right? Right? Filled with the knowledge of him, right? He says here in Ephesians, he says, that the Yahuah, in Ephesians 1:17, that the Yahuah of our Adonai Yahusha, the Father of glory, may give unto you the Ruach of wisdom and revelation, the Ruach HaKodesh of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of him, right? The eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling and what the riches of the glory of the inheritance are in the saints, and what the exceeding greatness is of his power to usward who believe, according to the working of his mighty power, which he wrought when he raised Yahushua Ha'Mashiach from the dead and set him at his own right hand in the Shamayim. It's the same thing that he's saying to the church of Qolosse. The message is not different. Shaul preached one message to the Gentiles. He says, for this cause also, since the day we heard of you, cease not to pray for you, and desire that ye might be filled, right, with the knowledge of his will in all wisdom and spiritual and ruachal understanding, right? So that you may be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, right? in the knowledge and in wisdom and spiritual understanding. It's the same thing that he said to the church in Ephesus. It's the same message, right? He says, right? That ye might walk worthy of Yahuah. Walk worthy of Adonai. Walk worthy in the Ruach HaKodesh. I'm praying that you be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh in all wisdom and knowledge and understanding, right? I know you have the Ruach HaKodesh because you have the Ruach HaKodesh of love. You have exhibited that, but I'm praying that you be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh with all wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of him. The Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach HaKodesh. That you may walk worthy of Yahuah, and to all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of Yahuah by the Ruach HaKodesh of truth, and your pursuit of the Besorah in the Torah. Your knowledge in the Ruach HaKodesh, the Ruach of truth, the Ruach of wisdom and revelation. Come on, that's the Ruach HaKodesh, right? But I'm praying that you have it in abundance in order that you can be fully equipped, right? In understanding how it is you are to conduct yourselves in the Ruach. You need the knowledge of him, right? That you walk worthy of Yahuah in all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of Elohiym, right? He says that the Adonai Yahuah, that Adonai of Adonai, that Elohiym, the Adonai of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, the Abba of glory, may give unto you the spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, of wisdom and revelation and knowledge of him. It's the same thing, right? That the eyes of your understanding that may be enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Walking worthy, understanding, increasing in knowledge, strengthening in might, according to his glorious power, right? Right? He says that the eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling, and what the riches of the glory of the inheritance in the saints. This Ruach Kadesh in you, this richness that is in you, right? And what the exceeding greatness is of his power, his exousia, his dunamos, his power, right? To usward who believe according to the working of his mighty power, which he wrought when he raised Mashiach from the dead. Listen, it's the same thing. The message is still, listen, it's the end game. Listen, it's the end game. Yasharal, it's the end game. It's the end game. The Ruach HaKodesh in you. You convicting the world of sin. You of righteousness. And you of judgment. You, the Ruach HaKodesh, his people. There is no kingdom without a people. And Yahuwah's kingdom is going to be righteous people. Right? He did the kingdom thing with the unrighteous people. And, that didn't last. Because they couldn't keep the Torah. He has established Yahusha, witness, in the Eretz. He has made the end game clear. The end game is clear to me. It's clear. The end game is the Ruach HaKodesh in me. His tabernacle in me. His signs following in me. His Ruach HaKodesh, his El in me. His kingdom come in me. His will be done. Yes, I can keep the Torah. In the Shamayim, in the earth, because he's in me now. I can keep it. His kingdom in the earth. He's going to provide. Give us this day our daily. He's going to provide for me because I'm a part of his kingdom. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespass. Why? Because his kingdom is in me. His kingdom has come. It's in me. His will is done in me. This is the end game. The Ruach HaKodesh in you is the end game. You have to have the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to receive the witness of Yahuah, Abba, the witness of Yahusha, the Word, and the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh in the Shamayim that testified to the witness on the Eretz. Yahusha, the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh. They all are one. They all agree. You have to. That's the end game. That's the establishment of the kingdom of Elohiym. We don't trouble ourselves. We don't become overwhelmed with the world. Because the kingdom is in us. We're not troubled by what goes on in the world. We are not troubled by what's going on in the world because the kingdom of Yahuah and Elohiym is in us. By the Ruach HaKodesh. By the Ruach HaKodesh of truth. By the Torah of truth. By the Besorah of truth. We keep his commandments. His kingdom come. His will be done. Obeying his commandments in the Eretz. The kingdom has come. In you. Yes, it's the earnest. Yes, it's the down payment. Yes, we understand what the kingdom is to look like. Ruachally now by the Ruach HaKodesh because we see what it was in the original covenant. We understand that there were judges. We understand there were priests. We understood there was a royal priesthood. We understood now. Are we the sons of Elohiym? In the kingdom of Yahuah. His kingdom come. He says, strengthen with all might according to his glorious power. It's the same thing. Unto all patience and longsuffering and joy. Yeah, we got to be patient. Yeah, we got to suffer long. Right? Yeah, we go in with joyfulness. Why? Because Yahusha provided us Yeshua. Yahusha gave us the ability to be sons of Elohiym. He put it all out there on a tree. Went into Sheol, offered up his blood on the altar in the Shamayim, only to have Yahuah say to him, well done, my good and faithful son. Take your rest. We will give men the kingdom. We are going to put it in them. The Ruach HaKodesh. And they're going to endure to the end. And we have a remnant. Yeah. I'm that remnant. I'm that remnant that says you got to receive the witness. I'm a part of that remnant that says you got to receive the witness. The Besorah of truth is that remnant. It's that tribe, that remnant that declares that you have to receive the Ruach HaKodesh of truth. Yeah, the Besorah of truth. Yeah, this tribe. Yeah, Urabakeshetu, the tribe of righteousness, the tribe of sanctification, the tribe of truth, the Ruach HaKodesh of truth, the Besorah of truth, the tribe of truth. We will declare to the nations, to the world, that the Ruach HaKodesh of truth is the only thing that's going to deliver and bring you into the kingdom of Yahuah. Yeah, this is the witness that we have. This is the end game. And I'm in it for the end game. It's about the end game for me. It's the end game. Yeah. It's the end game. It's for the reaching of the lost. It's the end game. Listen. This is the end game. 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 This is it. This is it. This is it. The Ruach HaKodesh in you is it. It's not Christianity. It's not Torah keepers only. It's not being just Hebrews. It's in the witness. It's in Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. His blood, his water, and the Ruach HaKodesh. It's in the witness. That's what it is. He says, giving thanks unto Abba, which hath made us meet. That word meet is able. Made us fit. The Greek word.
Strong's G 2427. Hikanao.
Hikanao. Right? It means to make sufficient. What he's given is made us sufficient. Sufficient enough to establish us in the earth until the revelation of his kingdom fully comes. Because it's in us. It's come already. Don't get it twisted. But listen. The gathering of his people. The establishing of his order. The put togethering of his kingdom. To make sufficient. To render fit. To equip one with adequate power to perform. Listen. To equip one with adequate power, right? See, we didn't need the Ruach HaKodesh in full measure. Yahusha had to have it in full measure in the Shamayim and the Eretz. Right. But he gave us what's fit. He gave me what's fit. He gave me what was necessary. He says to equip one with an adequate power to perform duty. Exceeding greatness of his power. Listen, giving thanks unto Abba, which haveth made us fit. He's given us adequate power to represent him in the earth until the time when Yahusha comes and we be changed. Immortality puts on immortality. And when we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is, and we will walk into the kingdom serving him in the capacity that he has for us as a people, as a nation, subduing enemies before us. Hallelujah. You don't hear me. Listen, it's the same message. It's the end game. He said he's made us fit, given us what we need to be partakers of the inheritance, that which we receive from a father. Inheritance. Of the saints in light. Saints, Kodesh, in the glory. Right? Light, glory, insight. This light, this glory that is in earthen vessels. We have his treasures. This light, this glory, this earnest, this equipment. To give us the capacity to do exactly what we need to do, no more, no less. And with this and by this, we have to endure to the end. Have to endure to the end. The race is not given to the swift or to the strong, but those that endure to the end. Right? We can't let these things slip. We can't quench the Ruach HaKodesh. Can't quench the Ruach HaKodesh. Quench not the Ruach HaKodesh. People who don't want to receive the Ruach HaKodesh. You don't want to receive the Ruach HaKodesh. They don't want nothing to do with it. But you got people that just quench it. Yahuwah's trying to move in you, trying to establish his kingdom in you, but you quenching the Ruach. Don't do it. Don't do it. He said, listen, giving thanks unto Abba, which hath made us meet. He has made us meet. He has given us adequate power to perform the duties. He's given us adequate power to perform the duty. This is the end game. This is the end game. This is the end game. Adequate power to perform the duties. Give thanks to Abba, which hath made us, given us what we need to complete the duties. Give us what we need to be partakers in the inheritance. The Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of you. The eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that you know what is the hope of your calling, and what the riches of the glory of the inheritance are in the saints, and with the exceeding greatness of his power to us who believe. You have it now. The Ruach HaKodesh. You have 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 the Ruach HaKodesh. Giving thanks unto the Father. Listen, man, if y'all want me, we're going to stop there. We're going to stop there. The Endgame. It's the Endgame. It's done. What Paul says in Ephesians, he says in the Philippians. He says in Colossians. He says in Corinthians. The Besorah is still the truth. The message is still the truth. You have to receive the witness of Yahusha Mashiach. And with that witness comes the inheritance, the Ruach HaKodesh. The word is the same. The Besorah is the same. The Torah is the same. The objective is the same. Yahuwah's kingdom come. The objective is Yahuwah's kingdom come. That's it. Yahuwah's will be done. In you. In the Ruach HaKodesh. Because you can obey the Torah. You going to keep the commandments. You can. Because of the Ruach HaKodesh in you. Because of the Torah of truth in you. Because of the Ruach HaKodesh and the Besorah truth in you. You don't have to sin. You could be a living epistle. Written and read of men. You'll be the Torah that they read. You'll be the Besorah that they hear. You'll convict of sin by your righteousness and of judgment because they refuse to receive the righteous word. They refuse to receive Yahushua Mashiach, witness. You have Yahuah, Yahusha, the word, and you have the Ruach HaKodesh and the Shamayim bearing witness, agreeing with what you do. You don't hear me? You have Yahuah, Abba. Abba. He is Abba to you. You have the word Yahusha. He is kinsman redeemer. He is soon coming king. You have the Ruach HaKodesh that is in you. The witness. That's in the Shamayim. They're one. Yahusha said, make them one as we are one. In the Ruach HaKodesh. You're going to be one in the Ruach HaKodesh. Nation ain't going to be one. Walking around here talking about the Hebrews. They ain't got the Ruach HaKodesh. Ain't going to be no one. Walking around here in all this purple parading up and down without no Ruach HaKodesh. Now listen, if you could imagine if they all had the Ruach HaKodesh, what? The world would be changed. It would be upside down. Listen, it would be upside down. Do you understand? If them brothers had the Ruach HaKodesh, the Ruach of Yahusha and Yahuah in them, right? Not that Freemason sign throwing. I'm talking about the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahusha and Yahuah. They had the witness of Yahuah and Yahusha. They had the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh, the blood and the water. Can you imagine them, brothers? Listen, Besorah of truth. That's this tribe. The Besorah of truth. You have to receive the witness of the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. And you have to have signs following to walk in this. And then once you have it, you got to get this out. Got to prison, wherever, street, community. It's the Besorah of truth. It has to get out. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, Yahuah, I pray right now the words that you've given me, I've given them that they keep them. This Besorah, if it be hid to those that are lost. Yahuah, if it be hid to those that are lost, and whom the hell of this world has blinded the minds of them, lest they should see. Yahuah, I pray for those who are in the sound of my voice, that have ear to hear. I pray that this Besorah of truth would go into their hearts and quicken, make them alive. Like the Paul apostle pray, I pray that the Ruach of wisdom and revelation and the knowledge of them, I pray that the eyes of their understanding would be enlightened, that they would know what is the hope of their calling and what the riches of the glory of the inheritance are in them as saints, and what the exceeding greatness is of your power to them who believe, according to the working of your mighty power which you wrought when you raised Yahusha Ha'Mashiach from the dead. I pray that they would receive it. Pray that they would receive it. In the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, I pray healing. In the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach, I pray healing. Healing. Healing over those that you've called, those that you have chosen. Healing. Yahuah, I pray for a quickening of the Ruach HaKodesh in the awakening amongst the nation, amongst tribes, a quickening. In the name of Yahusha Ha'Mashiach. And Yahuah, I give you praise. I give you praise. I give you praise. I give you praise. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, called to greatness. Woman of Yahuah, beautifully and wonderfully made. Listen, Yahuah has favored you. Walk in the favor of Yahuah in the Ruach HaKodesh and be blessed. With that I say, shalom. Shalom, shalom.
Torah guardian, speaking the absolute truth. Torah nation.